The Clippers shocked the NBA when they traded for James Harden back in October. In fact, experts flamed LA for this move, saying that it was awful, terrible, and a total failure. But now it looks like all these people were wrong, because the beard looks like a new man in LA. The Clippers are now at the #1 spot in the NBA power rankings, and James Harden has been the key part to that. But there's been a question looming over the heads of all Clippers fans. Is this too good to be true? Is Harden fooling all of us? And will he collapse once again when the stakes are at their highest? To be honest, Clippers fans are lucky to even be having these questions, because when the Harden trade first went down, it looked like one of the worst trades that this team could have possibly made. This team quite literally stopped passing the ball when Harden joined LA, going from 17th in passes per game among the league to dead last. And it showed on the record book as well. The first 13 games of the James Harden era resulted in the Clippers going just 5-8, which for a team that had championship or bust aspirations was terrible to say the least. But if you watch the Clippers during this time, even as a casual fan, you would know that this team's problem was insanely obvious. The team just didn't move. It would be one thing to isolate Kawhi and PG or run a pick and roll with Harden, because yeah, they are 3 of the best players in the league in those areas, but the rest of the team just can't stand there and watch their stars go to work. I mean, just look at this possession in one of the first James Harden games in LA. Kawhi Leonard rejects Terrence Mann's screen and decides to isolate against Draymond Green. Maybe not the best decision, but Leonard is definitely talented enough to take on any defender one-on-one. As he operates, not one Clipper makes any movement. They might as well be cones out there. Leonard gets locked up on his first attempt to the basket, so he kicks it back out to Mann for a repost while the shot clock winds down. And still, all of his teammates refuse to budge, which results in a poor fadeaway mid-range selection. This Clippers offense was literally dead out there, and Clippers coach Ty Lue knew it, saying, quote, "The offense is too slow." But instead of putting it on the players, Lue said that he takes full responsibility, and after he said this, things really started to change for the Clippers roster. The Clippers offense has undergone a dramatic transformation, and James Harden is at the heart of it. This team went from having one of the worst offenses in the entire league to now having a top-ranked attack, all because they started to move the ball, and more importantly, moving without the ball. LA has been thriving off of backdoor cuts, pick and rolls, and pushing in transition, but the key has been swinging the ball to find the open man and constant off-ball movement. Harden has been instrumental in this offense's revival through his passing and willingness to keep the ball moving. In the past, especially with Houston, Harden was notorious for over-dribbling and slowing the offense to a halt. But in LA, he's keeping the ball moving, swinging passes to open teammates, and letting the offense flow naturally, which, as we've seen in recent years, is the key to winning at the highest level. This unselfish style of play has ignited the Clippers offense and taken them to the top of the power rankings, and possibly even the Western Conference sooner rather than later. Harden has also been engaged defensively like never before. Throughout his career, he's been, well, a dumpster fire on defense, giving zero effort, dying on screens, and even cherry picking for fast break points on the offensive end. His defense was a constant liability, but with the Clippers, Harden has been locked in on both ends, fighting over screens, contesting shots, and making game-winning plays consistently. His effort and leadership on the defensive end has been a revelation, and his plus-minus has skyrocketed from 277 last season to 293 this season, and that's despite his slow start after the trade. To put it simply, this new James Harden is focused on one thing: doing whatever it takes to help his team win, which honestly is something that we have never seen from him before. But even though James Harden has improved a ton with the Clippers and even shown that he can finally be a part of a system instead of being the system,
I'm not a system player, I am a system.
none of what we have seen so far matters, because Harden's regular season success has never been the question. It's always been the postseason. And based on what we've seen in the past, history always seems to repeat itself, which is probably why most analysts and even some fans are standing on the fact that Harden will let everyone down once again. I mean, you're talking about a guy that has not just failed, but wet the bed for 4 NBA teams. First, it was OKC in his rookie season, scoring just 2 points off the bench against the Lakers in an elimination game. Now you might say, well, that's just his rookie season, cut him a break. To that I would say that just 2 years later in the finals against the Heat, while still being on the Thunder, Harden's average of 17 points per game dropped to just 12 in this series, which if you put it to this year in the NBA with the scoring increase would be like him dropping 7 points a game. OKC aside, Harden has failed on recent teams too. Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals against Golden State, scoring 14 points with 12 turnovers, and even more recently, last season in Game 7 versus the Celtics, where Harden only had 9 points. Absolutely pathetic. There are literally countless examples of this man collapsing when it matters most, which is why I will come out and say that I and many others believe that James Harden is still a fraud. And like all the other years, he will collapse once again once the lights get their brightest. The only argument that people can have for Harden is that he's finally in a new role, so he won't take a step down like he usually does. But between OKC, Philly, and Houston, he had a different role for all of these offenses. Yet there was still a common theme: falling short. So what does this mean for the Clippers' championship hopes? This team is in a title or bust mode given their aging core, so there's no room for key players like Harden to disappear in the playoffs like he's done in the past. Or is there? While Harden has been playing phenomenal, this Clippers team is built to win even if he does take a step back. Like I said, Harden's in a new role that doesn't require him to put up 30-point games like he did in Houston or Brooklyn. The Clippers have one of the most underrated rosters around Kawhi and PG. Big man Ivica Zubac has emerged as an extremely efficient rim-running center, providing great vertical spacing. Norman Powell has proven that he can pour in 20, even 30 points any given night and is lights out from 3. Amir Coffey continues to be a microwave scorer off the bench at times, and some of the young talent on this roster has shown intriguing potential. And of course, the addition of Russell Westbrook has given this team a high-energy bulldog who can run the fast break and provide hustle plays that sometimes can make all the difference in a playoff series. With so many weapons surrounding Kawhi and PG, the Clippers are constructed to absorb a playoff drop-off from Harden offensively. Their elite depth gives them insurance if Harden struggles, which is why his fall-off really doesn't matter for this team. Because of this, I believe that if this team stays healthy, they could shock the entire NBA world and finally make it to the NBA Finals led by Kawhi and PG, even if Harden falls back into his playoff choking ways. The Clippers' championship hopes, to put it simply, don't live and die by Harden because of PG and Kawhi, and the help they have with the supporting crew. This team is far more balanced and deep than any team that Harden has ever been a part of. But unlike the Clippers, the Golden State Warriors have been struggling despite having Steph Curry, who has been one of the best guards in the entire league this year. However, this team might just have a new superstar based on what we've seen in recent games. Click here to watch that video and see why Jonathan Kuminga could be the Warriors' next superstar.